sit there for a long time. I'm gonna make you do that. You know, I don't know where to start, but there's a group chat with that crew over there, and there's a bet in the group chat that I would not cry. There's actually an over-under, and I couldn't help but get choked up when Eric went through what he just did, and it just means so much when someone expresses what they do, expresses what you do and all the hard work you put in for 24 years. And I'm grateful for that, and I appreciate that, Eric. I do want to get started by congratulating Billy Burrow, just a competitor, a guy who was so valuable for his team, and a guy who was part of rivalries that I really enjoyed being a part of as well. So congratulations, Billy. A thank you to the league, the Hall of Fame committee, especially Bruce, Billy, Steve, Gene Kelly, Keith Daly, Bill Lawton, and Bill Keltz, as they voted for my selection into the Hall of Fame. And a special thank you to Bill Keltz, who brought my nomination forward and asked the board if we could look past the 2-year retirement rule to induct me. And it's probably really because nobody else is going to go into the Hall of Fame. But thank you, Bill, for the nomination. Funny story about Bill. He likes to come up here and roast me every year. I don't know if he has the mic later, but I better be careful. I thought last year was a great year in the Twilight League for our program. I stood up here, I accepted the championship trophy. I presented the league MVP to Nate Novak, and we had a playoff MVP, we had all-star winners, and I even got to tell the story when Bill's team, the Waterford Nationals, were beating us 1-0 in the 5th inning of a game last year. It was like the second to last week of the season, and the umpires saw the thunder and lightning off in the distance, and they called the game, get in the dugout, waited it out. It rained, but in the 5th inning they were at 1-0. I know you love this story, I know you do. And then, this is the truth. He lies. This is the truth. And we came back a couple weeks later, hit a 2-run homer. Ryan Lambert's in the room. He hit the homer. Congratulations, Ryan. You kept the season intact. But I like to tell that story because that was part of the celebration last year to try to finish undefeated. And then the topper of the night last night was the 50-50. Bill came up here and he called the 50-50 winner. And guess who it was? It was me, if you didn't know already. I gave the money back, but he told me before the Hall of Fame nomination, I'm going to nominate you, but you can't buy a raffle ticket. So that's the only thing missing tonight here is the raffle ticket. But Bill, again, thank you for the nomination. Billy, Bruce, and Steve, I want to just say that I admire everything you do for the league, and I want to mention you guys for another reason. Back in 1998, I remember walking into the Twilight League meeting. You were meeting in the basement at Bleecker Stadium. The league was there. I walked in with an application for entry into the league, and I'm grateful that you guys accepted the application and supported us bringing a team in the league, and I thank you for that. I have family here tonight. I do want to thank my family. There's so much. My dad, my mom, my wife Carrie, my son Andrew, my daughter Maddie, my brother Mike is here. Start with my wife. That's the first thing, Bill. That you said it. I think I'm done with the speech now. God bless her is right. I started this thing a long time ago, and I remember telling her, let me just try to win one championship and I'll be good. I'll just have tryout coaching. So I didn't really keep my word. But as she was raising Maddie and Andrew, I was running out to coach baseball. I was meeting with college coaches years ago. I was doing something that I loved, and I was doing it at 1,000%, as Eric said. I just wanted to do it right. And she knew it, and she understood it, and she let me do it, and she knew I had the passion and the commitment for it, and I'm grateful that she let me do it. And she's responsible for this award, or I wouldn't be standing up here. So I'm grateful to her for that. My children, My daughter surprised me tonight coming from Rider University. She had a dive meet last night at LaSalle and came up here to surprise me, drove up. My son Andrew is a 3-sport athlete and lifts weights every single night of the week. It doesn't matter what's going on. He's lifting weights is the most important thing to him. They are my world, and I hope that they took something from what I did with this team when it comes to hard work and passion and commitment and dedication and all that stuff that goes into coaching baseball and being successful. And as Eric said, my best memory was with them. In 2012, they were 9 and 6 years old. The three of us went down with the team to Florida, and they got to celebrate on the field. They got to take pictures. They got to be a part of something special. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for their patience and unwavering support, and knowing that Dad going out, coaching baseball is something that he loved to do and he wanted to be great at it. So Andrew, Maddie, Carrie, thank you. My mom and dad, they raised me a certain way, and I'm appreciative they did, or I wouldn't be doing things at 1,000%. And that's one thing, but after the thrill of playing baseball for myself was over and them watching me, they still took the interest to congratulate me, to ask how things were going. And they didn't know anybody on the team. They didn't know anything about any player. They just took an interest and they supported me. And they knew I loved baseball. And I'm grateful for that. My mom fought cancer twice since 2003. When she got treatments, she never stopped calling me. She never stopped congratulating me. She never stopped supporting me, again, with guys on a team that she knew nothing about. And then in 2002, she went through something that I can't imagine anybody going through. But on the bleachers of Bleecker Stadium, after a game, my grandmother had a heart attack and died right there. And she didn't turn away from Bleecker Stadium. She didn't turn away from the Albany Athletics. She just kept supporting me, and I appreciate that. My dad, he kept me on my toes. We'd go out sometimes, he'd come to a game, we'd go out for dinner after the game, and he'd ask me, "Joe, you're leaving your pitcher in too long. When are you going to take him out? You got to get him out of there." We had just won a game. Thankfully, we win a lot of games. And I said, "Dad, we won the game. I played the cards right. I did everything right. You're still going to get burned." And I just left it right there because I know he's my father, and I just left it as it is. But he had no idea, guys like Chris Alameda closing the game and Scott Chambers here tonight. Guys like that made me look good. But they kept my father staying on me on every game. So my brother's here tonight. My brother was he was a player in this league. He was a part of the 1998 team, first team in the league that went 11-8, I think. He was the third baseman of the state championship team back then. And Dave Perry was also on that team too. Where's Dave? He remembers that. Dave was picked up as a pickup player back then. In 1998, the league only let you choose between the double ABC playoffs or the league playoffs. So we chose to go out to Watertown, and we won the state tournament. He was the third baseman, and that was kind of cool. He was a part of this in the beginning. Then I got to coach his son last year as a senior in a travel league. So I thank him for his support. Ultimately, not standing up here if it's not for the performances and loyalty of my players. Someone's going to win this bet in the over-under for me crying. The effort and the loyalty that they put forward is priceless. I got some guys here tonight I want to recognize that were past players: Jason Martin, John Vendetti, John Kelly, Brett Weber, Scott Chambers, guys that came out to support me tonight. I'm grateful for that. The relationships, the camaraderie with these guys, of course, the will to win kept me going. And for some reason, I had average players that played great and great players that raised their game. And it all came together for a long time. And I'm grateful for that. I have Hall of Famers. Eric mentioned some of them already. Mahar, Martin, Vendetti, Shook, Lawton, Marcella, Pearsall have been inducted into this Hall of Fame, and I was lucky to have Hall of Famers. There's going to be guys standing up here in a few years, like Novak, Salamita, Mastriani, Barbero, Overbaugh, incredible players and committed to the Albany Athletics. I couldn't ask for anything more. And yes, they gave me a lot of stress. They gave me a lot of gray hairs. There was a lot of funny stories. I'd come home at night and tell Carrie some of the craziness that went on at a game. But it was kind of fun. And it was kind of fun to do that and win championships. And I'm grateful to them. 4 guys I want to recognize, 3 of which are here tonight, are my assistant coaches. Summer baseball in the Twilight League. Nobody gets paid if you're a manager or general manager. Then if you have an assistant coach who's loyal and puts in all the hours, they have even less to get out of it because they're not making any decisions. They're not getting paid at all. They're getting nothing out of it. But Eric, from 2011 to 2019, you were the rock, man. On and off the field, again, late nights. You said it all already, but I appreciate everything you did. And keeping me sane is the most important thing, because I was going to lose it sometimes. John Kelly here tonight, kind of a quiet assistant coach, but a guy who would run through a wall for me. He spent 11 seasons with me as a player coach. Unselfish guy. Mark Thiessen, I can't figure out what Mark is anymore because he started playing for me in 2000. Now he's my assistant coach. He's played in games this year at 40-something years old, but Mark has more institutional knowledge of any guy in our program. If you sit down and talk with him, he'll tell you a story about every player. But a guy who loves this program and has the loyalty that I was talking about earlier. And grateful to him too. And Jason Trufant, the last guy who's not here tonight, another loyal, reliable pitching coach that I had for 5 years. Grateful for him. But they stopped their lives to coach for me. Volunteered a ton of time, no pay, helped me navigate through games and seasons and players that I couldn't manage sometimes. And they were the buffer between me and winning championships. And I'm grateful for them. They also had the task of being ready at any point in time to get in a game. We were missing a player or a guy got hurt. Eric, get your bat. John, get your bat. Mark, go to right field. They had to be ready to go. And they were there as assistant coaches first. So I thank you 3 guys tremendously. As I start to wind down, I do want to recognize some teams that made me and made our program what it is. And the first was that 1998 team, for obvious reasons, but worthy of recognition. Again, 11-8 in the first year in the league. 2001, this was the first real team that I had that showed they could win dominantly in the Twilight League. They went 22-2. They won the league. It wasn't a league regular season championship, but they would have won it. They had nothing to show for that year because we decided to go to the WABC playoffs. And thankfully the league looked at that and said, we're going to now allow the teams to play at both. And I was grateful for that. But that 2001 team going 22-2, they set the bar. And I'm grateful for that. John Kelly, Mark Thiessen, Vendetti, they were on those teams. 2008, first team to really be a competitive team in the WABC, going deep into regional tournaments and championships. And that team started a string of championships, league championships. Again, Kelly, Thiessen, Chambers, Brett Weber were on those teams. 2012, Eric said it. Probably one of the best teams I've ever coached, and I didn't even coach them. I got to the game, we figured out a lineup which didn't change much, And we literally sat down most games in the dugout. I never sit when I'm coaching. We sat in the dugout and we just watched double homer, whatever it was. They scored 200 runs in the regular season with a wood bat. Do the math on that. 200 runs. I don't know if anybody will ever do that again. But an incredible team, and of course my family got to experience the culmination of that team winning the World Series on a walk-off home run. Kelly, Thiessen, Martin, Beeler, guys on that team. 2016, the last National World Series the WABC ran. And we were fortunate enough to be the team to win 2 championships on a Sunday in Connecticut. That team was special, great group. RJ, Nate, Mastriani, Salamita, Beeler, guys that are still playing. I can't believe what they're doing at the age that they're at. Of course, last year's team, a special place in the Twilight League history, going 28-0. A lot of guys here tonight from that team, obviously, part of the 22 team as well. Lambert, Hanson, Carroll, RJ, Novak, Sal, Mastriani, Souls, Rubino. Hope I'm not forgetting anyone. In 2022, they're going to get their moment, I think, a little bit later, but an incredible group that won their 12th state championship and recorded a winning streak that will be mentioned a little bit later. But those teams and those players, they made me look good. They blazed a trail of success. They put forward effort that I never thought I'd get. I take great pride in this league, whether it's coaching or recruiting or serving as the league secretary. Whatever it is, it didn't matter. I wanted to do things the right way. And as Eric said, I've found a way to do it successful no matter what it was. But I'm most proud of my time, my 24 years, of how I represented the Twilight League, and that I made baseball mean something to my players. It was summer baseball. We coach summer baseball here. We play summer baseball. They don't have to show up. They don't have to play hard. They don't have to take pride in running down to first base. They don't have to high five. They don't have to build camaraderie and chemistry among the team. They could just play ball and go. They don't have any obligation to do any of that. But they did it for me. They were motivated, and they did it for me. And I'm proud to say I had those kinds of players, and those players put me here on the stage tonight. I thank them. I thank the coaches. I thank my family. I thank the Twilight League. And I thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you for this honor.
That's hard to top that, but I got thinking about records. I thought, Eric, 18 years, you said, without a loss, I think. Imagine, we think of what Cal Ripken, we think of Michael Jordan, we think of great records, and I'm not sure if we're ever going to see this again. Oppenheim's, the Suns, the great teams in history of the league.